What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is Cartel Cruise Season 1, Episode 7. So this is part 1. We're in Colombia, and remember last week... Oh, excuse me. I don't know why every time I turn on the camera I start yawning. Last week, everybody's in Colombia except for Michael and Maria. It wasn't safe for them to go. And so we get to Colombia. They do the flight and everything. Diana still ain't crazy about Nicole being there, but everybody promised there would be no drama, so we gonna work with that for now. Y'all know that ain't gonna finish out. We get to Colombia. They come out the airport. They waiting for limos or G-Wagons or Sprinters, and no, they got like 30-year-old Ford trucks. And, of course, Stephanie and Nicole were like, the fuck? Like, for real, though. Where's the limo? Like, for real. And, Kat was like, ain't no limos. Like, this how we rolling in Colombia. Like, all that luxury, y'all left that shit in Miami. So they have an hour ride to where they're staying. And, golly, I promise y'all I wasn't yawning until I turned the camera on. There was a bumpy ride, and Stephanie and Nicole were in a separate car than the rest of them, and Nicole was basically like, I'm gonna try to keep everything cool because I promised Kat, but I still ain't feeling Diana. I still feel like, she owed me an apology, so forth and so on. So y'all know that's gonna be a showdown before it's over with. So they get to where they're staying, and from the outside it looks like, an empty building or something like that. And they were like, and Stephanie is complaining, and Los is irritated because he was like, she complains about everything. She's so damn bougie, blah, 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 blah. Sorry about that. And they get inside, they go up on the elevator, open up the door, and it's a luxury, like, penthouse, right? The front, from the outside, it look like it ain't shit. They get inside, and it's, like, marble floors and indoor pool, and it's beautiful, right? It is a beautiful, beautiful, situation. And, they get to talking, and in the conversation, and here's the thing, everybody has a perspective on their experience. And you can't negate somebody else's experience just because you don't like what they're saying. So Stephanie is talking about basically how hard the drug life, the fact that her father decided to be a drug dealer, how hard it was on her family. She said, yeah, it provided a decent lifestyle for us, or even a nice lifestyle for us. But at the end of the day, I lost my family. I lost my father. She said, and to this day, I can't date a drug dealer because of all of the pain that I know it brought me and my family. And I know how, in the end, how it turns out. Well, Los automatically, he gets upset. He gets in his feelings because he's like, well, as a man, sometimes you just don't feel like you have any other options. And it's just not that easy. It's just not that black and white. And Stephanie even said that. She said, I get it. I understand it. It's not that easy. She said, I'm just telling my story. And that's where it should have been respected. Like Los, I feel like Los, I like Los, but Los has some issues. And part of his issue is he takes everything as an attack on him, when it's not always an attack. It's not always personal. And I feel like he takes it that way. And so with Stephanie, golly, so that's all Stephanie was saying. All Stephanie was saying was, look, my story is, yes, it was a nice lifestyle while it lasted, but once it was done, not only did my father not leave anything for us, we were scraping, and he was in jail, and I lost my father and my family. And so as a result, I don't want to willingly walk into that situation again, And so, of course, so Los and Stephanie are sort of already butting heads. You already see where they sort of are, button heads. So we go to dinner, and they go to a traditional Colombian dinner with traditional foods, and Stephanie is not feeling nothing on them plates. And I don't think it's from a snobby mindset of this food isn't good enough for me. I think it's from a I don't want all them carbs and all that fatty food. And she said that. She was like, we don't have no baked chicken. Like, I don't really want all the fatty foods. And they were like, look, just give it a chance. Just open up your mind to it. You know, you on vacation. You only live once, blah, blah, blah. So you sort of see them sort of getting along, sort of having a good time, you know, that uneasiness. And so Nicole decides, she said, look, Kat, I know I promised you there wasn't going to be any drama, but at the same time, I can't be fake. And, you know, it's a lot of tension. And I just want to address the elephant in the room. That she ain't said it that way, but this is what I'm saying. And so she tells Diana, you know, basically, I think you owe me an apology. And Diana was like, for what? She said, well, you know, at your party, I felt like, you know, you sort of came at and sort of attacked, Stephanie. And, you know, me and Stephanie are friends now, and I just felt like I was just defending her. And Diana was like, but you were at a party you weren't invited to. And that's valid. Her point is valid in that point of view to say, look, whatever came at Stephanie is what Stephanie deserved, because ain't nobody invite Stephanie to the party or you. And from that point of view, she sort of had a valid point. Like, I definitely saw where she was coming from. But I don't like Diana, so, you know, it is what it is. I think Diana is, I just think she's nasty. And I think that we'll see later on in the episode how she just tries to just, she likes that, she likes being a bitch. Like, she is a bitch, and she likes to be, she's a mean girl. And she's cool with it. She likes it. So, sorry again. So, they go back to Miami, you know, and they show, Michael and Marie, and they're kind of just going along. Golly! What is wrong with me? And they just kind of going along with everything. They're going out, they're doing the little, throwing the axes and all of that. And the little, you know, like they have like this little place where you could throw the axes and stuff like that. Sort of like with the dartboard, but with axes. And, you know, Maria's saying how she wished she could have gone, but she definitely understands why it just wasn't safe. But she said she really wished she could see where Michael grew up and that kind of thing. But then she said she found out Nicole was on the trip, and she realizes that probably was a good idea for her to stay where she was, because probably wasn't going to work out. So the next day, Stephanie is going to go visit Michael's mom's grave, Griselda's grave, to take, you know, to go by, you know, Michael asked her to go visit his mom's grave and to take the perfume and everything. And while they're doing that, the rest of them are going on like a trip into the city, I guess, you know, do some sightseeing, do some shopping. They went on a boat. They did like a little, I guess, a boat tour or whatever. And, you know, Diana asked, you know, they were talking about who dealt drugs and where they probably hid the money and hid out, because where they were going on the boat tour showed like a little town off in the cut. And they were like, I wonder if this is where the people used to hide out, you know. And they were saying, yeah, probably, you know, they were just having that kind of conversation. So Diana gonna ask Los, so did your family do any business in Colombia? Los was like, yeah, I'm gonna plead the fifth on that. Don't ask no questions like that. That's the kind of shit to get people killed. Are you crazy? And he even said that. He said, you know, you got to be really careful about what you say and where you say it, because, you know, anybody could be listening, and that's how people get killed. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's how people get killed. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on, too, about setting people up. But anyway, excuse me. So, what is wrong with me? So, they're out to lunch, and Los doesn't want them drinking. See, here's the thing. Los is very aware of where they are and how it's just a precarious situation. Yes, they're there with production. Yes, they're there, you know, and they sort of have the backing of VH1 and all of that. But at the end of the day, they're still in a very dangerous situation. And he's, you know, he didn't want them really drinking, because he was like, yeah, because when y'all get to drinking, it'd be some other stuff. And then, before we get to that, so while they were on the bus, one of the things, Los did open up to them about, you know, his baby moms or whatever, and that situation. And he was saying how it's hard for him to deal with all the yelling when the women get to yelling and stuff. He said, because it just reminds me of my mom and growing up with my mom and all that yelling. And, you know, it's just, I just can't deal with it. So, so they're at lunch. And Diana sort of was sneaking liquor or whatever. And Los was like, yeah, all right, you know. And then he said something about them being dressed a certain way, and he asked Nicole to close her jacket because her, you know, she had, you know, of course Nicole had the breast out and everything. So he said something to Stephanie, and Stephanie was like, I'm not your mother, you don't have to talk to me like that, you know, da da da. And Los was like, yo, really, like, why would you throw that in my face like that, you know? And then it seemed to be, honestly, y'all, it seemed to be a really manufactured argument because out of nowhere, Stephanie starts talking about being single and being in a relationship. And then they start talking about Nicole's situation, right? Like, out of nowhere. And first of all, I'm like, Stephanie, why would you even, like, y'all not amongst friends? Why would you bring up Nicole's situation with the guy? So, but Nicole started talking about it. She said, you know, she was dating this guy off and on for 3 years. It was a verbal altercation that turned into a physical altercation. And this is where that damn Diana mean girl shit. She gonna say, well, you know, I always find that very interesting. You know, women do that. They do that for clout, right? Like, it was all over the blogs and everything about your situation. You know, women do that for clout. They do that for, you know, to be seen. So Nicole was like, are you serious? She was like, are you saying that I'm clout chasing? Like, that's what you're trying to say? She was like, well, I mean, are you going to press charges? Are you going to sue him? She was like, well, what are you trying to get at? She was like, I'm just saying, I mean, I just think it's really fucked up when women try to ruin men's lives over some bullshit like that. I was like, Diana, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, first of all, you just trying to press people's buttons. Like, first of all, that's what you're doing. But second of all, you gonna start like and make it seem like this girl purposely got beat up. And I mean, Nicole ain't my favorite person in the world either. But it's like you're trying to put out there like she got beat up on purpose or got assaulted. I shouldn't say beat up. Got assaulted on purpose just so she could sue this dude. And like Nicole told her, Nicole was like, my family got money. Like, I don't need to be with nobody for money. My family has money. Because earlier in the episode, Nicole was talking about, you know, the only time I'd ever been to Colombia before was to have surgery. It's really nice to see other parts of the country. I was like, yeah, other than the damn hospital, you know. But, and then that's when Stephanie and Los get into an argument because he's yelling at her, and that's when she threw back at him like, look, I'm not your mother. Like, you know, you ain't gonna be yelling at me, talking to me crazy. And so the two of them get into the argument. So Stephanie walks off to go talk to Nicole to try to calm Nicole down. And while she's trying to calm Nicole down, Los and Diana are back at the restaurant talking. And, of course, Nicole is pissed off. She was like, you know, you saying I'm a clout chaser? And she kept trying to run back, knowing good and damn well security was going to stop her. She knew her ass wasn't going to get close to no damn Diana. But what ended up happening was, though, Los and Diana ended up leaving them there. And like Stephanie said, when, you know, she said, I finally got Nicole calmed down, and we walked back up to the restaurant, and they're gone. Now, I don't know where I am. I don't know how to get back to where we staying. I don't even know where the hell we staying. Like, I don't even know the name of the place where we staying. Because it's not like they're staying at the Hilton. You know, they're staying at a private villa that was rented. Like a Airbnb type situation. And so she was just like, you know, that's fucked up that they would leave us like that. And so that's where we left them off. Now, on the other side, Tat had, you know, set them up on that excursion because she went to go visit Griselda's grave for Michael. So she went to the grave, she said a prayer, she, you know, she talked to the grave site and everything, and then she called Michael. And she basically let Michael, you know, she said she let him know where she was and everything, and then she excuse me. And then she, you know, turned the phone around so he could see the grave and, you know, say whatever he needed to say or whatever. And Michael broke down. I felt so bad for him. I mean, and like she said, you know, Tat said, you know, to the rest of the world, his mother was a monster. She said, but at the end of the day, that's his mother. And no son, no matter who, you know, the situation is, no son deserves to lose their mom, you know. And she was like, so it's one of those things where you're torn between who she was, but understanding the fact that she still had a family who loved her, regardless of whatever her faults were or what have you. And, you know, you heard Michael talking. He was like, you know, some coward killed a 72-year-old woman for some clout. You killed a 72-year-old woman. And I guess on one hand, again, from a child's eyes, I see where Michael is coming from, but from the rest of the world's eyes, your 72-year-old mama was still dealing drugs. You know what I'm saying? She was still Griselda. And there is a certain clout that's involved with killing somebody like that. And so, I felt bad for him. I mean, he was done, y'all. I mean, he was that real cry, that snotting cry. Like, he was done. And it was really sad to see. I mean, again, you're torn between the public persona and the private person. And so, but that's where the episode pretty much ended. So we'll see part 2 next week. But yeah, this Diane is a bitch. She's a mean girl. And Los, like I said, y'all, I've been saying from the beginning, I like Los. But Los needs to keep moving in the direction of his self-improvement and doing better for himself. He is trying, but it's a process. But part of it, like I said, is understanding that people can criticize actions without criticizing the person. And I don't think Stephanie was criticizing you as a person. She was criticizing actions through her own experience. And I think that was part of what set off Los, and them having a showdown was only a matter of time. But anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.